Unless this is literally the first video from me you have ever seen, I'm sure you all know Mega Man is my all-time favorite franchise. Mega Man 6 was the first game I owned, and I loved playing it, even though I could never beat Wind Man, or Yamato Man, or Plant Man's Gorilla Tank, or anything besides Flash Man and Mega Man 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if my obsession would grant me the crown of the biggest fan in the world, as every other fan outright claims for themselves as fact. So what exactly managed to hook me and make me, of all people, obsess? Though not really a lasting hook, what 90s boy didn't think robots were the coolest thing ever? Especially when they have arm guns, and robotic pets, and jetpacks, and fights between elemental-themed robots, and all these robots! Just insane amounts of beautiful, glorious robot-on-robot violence every level, all day, every day. Okay, I'm actually hyping myself about this again. That is still all actually cool. Some people hate the charge shot and say it makes the game too easy. This is more of an illusion created by the fact the weapons began getting nerfed around Mega Man 4. So the charge shot became as good as most of the weapons when fighting bosses, including in some cases the weakness weapons. The charge shot itself added some extra strategy. However, it has become one of the franchise's greatest trademarks, with only Mega Man Walnut never using a charged buster shot canonically, though he uses it in his fighting game appearances. In Command Mission, X's special ability, of course, had to be the charge shot, showing exactly how synonymous it is with Mega Man, even if Samus and many other heroes have borrowed the charge shot for their own guns. Somehow this minor enemy has become one of the most iconic faces of the franchise. Metars have appeared in every series except for Legends, though at one point there were rumors of true Metars being introduced in Mega Man Legends 3. But we'll never know, since Capcom hates Mega Man because they know it will hurt Keiji Inafune, and fans, and Capcom is into pissing fans and their former employees off. Nintendo or Sega really needs to buy out Capcom. Mega Man's name isn't rock for nothing. The franchise is known for having incredible music from the beginning to Star Force 3. That's the last true Mega Man game, right? I could stretch this video into hours if I had you listen to every awesome song, and I'm tempted to make a 30-hour uncut version. Except my editor doesn't like letting me push past 1.5 hours very often. However, this has become one of the franchise's trademarks. And it's a shame Sakurai didn't make Smash Bros. 4's entire soundtrack Mega Man songs. Nah, but really, he could have tripled the Mega Man songs and no one would have objected. Some of the sub-series have more story, but one of the most striking things is how deep and complex the storytelling can get. This is a franchise that can really make you think and cultivate personal and emotional growth. The classic era remains mostly simple, rivalry between two geniuses being fought by the robotic children. But still, the games occasionally touch on more mature topics, not the least of is the backstory that exists for anyone who looks. Almost every robot, master, and minor enemy alike was created to ease life in some way. Yet twisted and perverted, what was intended to bring so much good can bring equal evil. No object is good or evil, but depending on who controls it, it can bring good or evil. It's true, a gun can defend as much as it can murder, as much as a pencil can teach as well as also kill. Even medicine intended to cure disease is also capable of killing in the right or wrong hands. No matter how much you hope to spread good, you must remember and perhaps plan to avert its use for evil. Good intentions get you nowhere. Mega Man also reached the point of contemplating murder as well as wondering if he is as evil as Wily for fighting to stop him. Mega Man thinks too much to be a simple robot. He is heading too close to being like humans, but so are his siblings when they are faced with what amounts to institutionalized murder. Simple robots have begun fearing their end, and just as Mega Man questions, is he on the right side? Is either side right? Then when you move to the X and Zero series, this kind of robot morality comes full focus. These robots are officially androids with minds just as complex as a human. Yet the Reploids spend so much time, for all intents and purposes, enslaved. The very term Maverick denotes a robot who has chosen actions that frighten humanity. With complete free will, these robots must continue to put human life ahead of their own to maintain peace. The introduction of Wily's Maverick virus only increases the tensions, and then finally a band of Reploids create Repliforce, wanting nothing more than independence. They do not wish to threaten or harm humanity. They believe a nation of Reploids may be the best way to achieve peace, and have complete freedom.
We have all been wrongfully judged as mavericks by the humans. We cannot suffer this indignity and live in disgrace. We will build our own nation of Reploids. But remember, this is neither about insurrection nor rebellion against our human creators. This is about our liberty and security. We must battle for our own individual rights and our own survival. Together we will build our nation, a sanctuary for all Reploids, our own utopia. Let us forge onward towards a new golden era.
But humanity continues to fear this change until Repliforce has to declare war, albeit being egged on by Sigma.
You already know the truth, General. Their sole mission has been to destroy any Reploids who fail to do as the humans order. It's in your best interest to stop them now, before they turn on you.
I will not betray the humans.
Very well. But you will change your mind soon, I assure you.
But there is no virus in use. These Reploids are classified as Mavericks simply for standing up and seeking equality as peacefully as possible, and the chain reaction continues without the need for a virus. Any talk of Reploid independence becomes Maverick talk. The heroes during this time clearly sympathize with both sides, but continue to favor and fight for the sake of the humans. CX introduces the complete blending of human and Reploid, and the backstory of the Legends series continues, telling of a world post-Reploid and humans. A single human remains, but a new species, part Reploid and part human, has been created.
Betas. You call them carbons. Though artificially created, in the end they may be closer to people than you think. The people living there know thirst, hunger, disease. They suffer all these things, and in the end, they grow old and die. But for one brief moment, they shine as bright as the sun. Because they know these hardships, they also know the meaning of happiness. Compared to theirs, our perfect world is cold and sterile.
And yes, the series has a lot of religious symbolism.
I always wondered why. Now I know. We didn't evolve. We were created. One day, boom, there we were, with a language and culture provided for us.
Moving to Battle Network and Star Force, the plot at a glance seems less complex and more about friendship. Until you remember the carnage Color Man caused, how a plane was hijacked, how Shadow Man committed internet genocide, Mr. Match manipulated you into attacking Scilab, and Mega Man struggled against the darkness while an alien judged if humanity was worth saving. Because even in video games, people are terrible monsters. You also have a madman sending Lan's friends, Navis, to hell, and trying to feed the world's souls to Nebula Gray. And Mega Man Star Force covers depression after your father is lost in space, presumed dead, and your loved interest loses her parents and is manipulated and controlled by a record executive. More threats to destroy humanity, thrice, because people still suck, and even aliens suffer borderline personality-induced paranoia that leads to the genocide of one planet in nearly a second. Some surprisingly tragic love stories, and lessons about the legendary risk of pedophiles thanks to legendary Master Shin. This may not be as insane as Metal Gear, but it certainly isn't Mario. If you've had a college English class, you will definitely know the drill. No more slacking off and phoning essays in. You have to show, don't tell. I'm kidding, it's still stupidly easy to bumble through an essay and get an A because apparently nobody else would pass if spelling and grammar mistakes were seriously counted off. So anyone who uses spell check and grammar check basically gets an A, unless they can't stop telling. I'm not as zealous a fan of this principle personally, but the rule applies to gaming too. There are general rules, like the first level, and usually most levels, shouldn't have enemies anywhere near where they will notice you unless you move or do something first, or at least lick the TV screen for a minute. You shouldn't introduce new elements without allowing the player to know what to do. For example, the first stage of Super Mario Bros. Has you safe. You reach a single Goomba, and will likely say, "That thing looks mean. Oh my god, it's coming closer. What do I do?" So you start pressing every button you see and Mario eventually jumps after pausing 5 times. You clean up the Goomba-induced puddle and return to the game, and now you see blocks. Your brain will likely say, "I can jump, right? What if I jump onto these blocks?" Or, "What if I jump into these blocks?" You find the hidden mushroom, and since it doesn't look as mean, you let it hit Mario. Let's suppose your brain didn't jump to jumping into blocks, which is honestly the less concerning possibility. You will reach a pipe, and no matter how many times you run into it, Mario's molecules will line up perfectly to pass through the pipe. But you had to jump to escape the Goomba. Maybe you can jump over the pipe. After a few more pipes, you reach a pit. After dropping down to see what is down there, you die, and your brain will ponder the possibilities and eventually will conclude jumping may also be the answer to this problem. The Mega Man games are very good about this. Disappearing blocks usually appear first over solid ground, and later spikes and pits. You are usually introduced to a new element where it is very unthreatening, but eventually the threat will become real, and no tutorial text box has popped up to say, "Hey stupid, press A to jump." You can reach higher places by jumping. You can dodge low projectiles and enemies by jumping. You can jump over pits and spikes. Jumping closer to the pit will usually work better. Or, these blocks will disappear. Memorize the pattern to progress. In Nightman's stage, you will see the falling spikes before you reach a point where they are a threat. In Flame Man's stage, you will encounter the oil early on without a fire telly. Then you will see a fire telly ignite the oil, before you have to traverse it, in case you didn't know oil is flammable. In Proto Man's Fortress Puzzle Room, your first shots will probably introduce you to the gimmick before things get too dangerous. Each minor enemy usually first appears where you can cautiously approach and learn its pattern. This is also true of most of the other series, although Legends does introduce a lot of telling. Yet still, it is very much believable story-based, with a mini ruin and then a safe sandbox to play in before you get into a brief dungeon excursion, and then a series of plot points. Battle Network also has a lot of telling. Granted, it is totally necessary to understand the chip system. There is no way you could show that. Though you can't show enemy patterns, and Battle Network does. The first version of a virus generally moves slow and blatantly telegraphs its attacks, and doesn't do very much damage, so a mistake isn't very costly. A great example is the Metar. Hey, welcome back, little buddy! The first Metar battle will usually contain 3 Metars. Only one will move at a time, and none of them will defend. If you move up and down, you will quickly realize this Metar is following you, and will eventually swing a pickaxe that will cause a slow, glowing shockwave. Only an idiot would think collecting the glowing shockwave is a good plan. Later, Metars will begin guarding when not attacking and will move faster and send faster shockwaves. Similarly, Kinodomes will do nothing until you are in the same row. A crosshair will slowly move down the row, and if it sees you, it will attack. Future versions will scan with greater speed. Suppose you get hit by a bunny though, and would like to use that attack for yourself. Chip descriptions. Not as vital anymore. From Game 1, players are given the choice of which level to play and which boss to fight. There is no level 1. Well, eventually, intro levels become a thing. The game opens up shortly after, and still provides at least some element of choice and openness through the X series. Mega Man Zero tried for an open world, but eventually settled for the classic boss selection. ZX introduced a true open world, although limiting your choice of boss to one of several by requiring the abilities of one of the bosses and key items. Mega Man Legends embraced the openness by having an open, interconnected overworld, and a series of eventually connected ruins or levels. Legends 2 opened the world up, but lost the connected ruins in the process. Except in Network Transmission, Battle Network and Star Force removed the choice element entirely. instead having a large internet or wave network composed of many smaller parts, and plenty to see and do on your own time. Some games did offer you the choice of which post-game area to tackle first though. Obviously, something that exists in the entire series is the growth gained by destroying your enemies. In the classic series, you gained a boss's weapons for new weapons that give you new ways to attack, and generally more powerful weapons. While RPGs gave you level ups or heart containers, Mega Man gave you new weapons. In the X series, this still rings true, but adds upgrades you can get without killing a single boss. Hidden throughout every level are health upgrades, refillable sump tanks, and armor. The weapons sometimes give you access to new armor or other upgrades, and the armor pieces often open up new possibilities and can make taking down a tough boss easier. The Zero series removed the idea of taking weapons from bosses by having cyber elves you collect in the levels, and different weapons you can gain access to and strengthen. This series diverged in many ways from the trademark of the franchise, relying primarily on the same insane story until the Zero Knuckle, when Zero could steal most enemies' weapons. CX righted itself in the respect by allowing you to take the Mega Medals from the other Mega Men and women, or transform into the bosses, literally after killing them, each with their own movesets. Legends also diverged a little from the formula, focusing more on giving you parts from exploring the levels and sometimes killing bosses. With these parts, you could make a wide variety of new weapons, so growth was based on and reflected exploration more than killing bosses. In addition, you had health and armor upgrades you could purchase with the money you earned by exploring the levels. However, the series that absolutely takes this integral aspect of the franchise is Battle Network and Star Force. In these games, you do buy and find upgrades that increase your health or your buster, or later on you purchase and find Navi Customizer or Link parts you can mix and match to give Mega Man better stats or new abilities. I'll also mention you will learn techniques to shrink Navicust parts, as well as upgrades to make your Navicust bigger, adding another whole level of growth and non-conventional experience. However, I've only touched on the growth and using your enemy's powers against them. A couple games have style changes that Mega Man occasionally undergoes that give him elemental polarity and new abilities. Most of the games instead allow Mega Man to fuse with select bosses he has killed or will kill, using their spirit and abilities as he fights. With the Soul and Cross system, the classic color and the ability change is translated perfectly. Mega Man, instead of changing colors, steals his enemies' looks and their core abilities. However, this is still only scratching the surface. These two series illustrate this concept perfectly with the chip system. By defeating bosses, Mega Man will earn battle chips that summon them to use their signature move. However, this extends not only to the bosses, but to every minor enemy. Mega Man gets stronger and gains new powers with every enemy he kills. It's brilliant, and playing Network Transmission reveals it is how the classic series should have been, except with more polish. It would have been impossible, but it feels so good playing a game that plays like the classic series, but you steal the weapons of every enemy you see. The dopamine is too damn high in your brain with the constant reward for killing everything, and perhaps this is why Mega Man hooks those who play it so hard. And this is what players consider one of, if not the most core element of the franchise. The game perfectly rewards the player with dopamine for making progress, and Battle Network and Star Force make a player a dopamine junkie. My name is Adam, and I am a dopamine junkie. Do you agree with me on what makes a Mega Man game a Mega Man game? These are my opinions and the concepts and themes I've noticed throughout my lifelong nerdgasm at everything Mega Man. But episode question. I know I asked a question earlier, but this is the episode question. What behemoth franchise would you be most interested in me looking into next? Not Next Top X necessarily, but next time I do this to a franchise. I know it's a little late, but with love, there's no time, and it was the last Top X. So for those of you who just learned my nerdy secret in the intro, you can go back and look at the cutest couples in gaming. It'll be a picture of Donkey Kong happy to see you. And I'll RNG to choose the second end thing video. And it is the first Crazy Connections, Nintendo's Mafia secret. Crossover confirmed. Click to find out how you have the Mafia to thank for Mario.